And it did count for a Read Harder challenge. She just went to me.
Well, she was pestering me, and I didn't like act like I acknowledged her, so she's seeking acknowledgement. Hi, honey. Do you want to go outside? Hey, can you use your words? Okay. Hey, it's Megan
And Sue,
the Spine Breakers, and today we are going to do a February wrap-up because it is, as of our filming, March 1st.
it is.
Yeah.
And then at the end, we're going to do our TBR jar pick for March.
Yeah.
And we're drinking Saigon Scooter Selfie, which is a Vietnamese-style coffee stout with brown sugar and cream extract added, which is a Two Roads and Evil Twin collaboration.
Yes.
So here it is, a big tall boy, so we're going to pour it into some glasses. So here it is.
It's nice and dark. Let's give it a go. That's unique.
You don't like it?
I got a smell of it, and I don't like the way it smells. The taste I like.
I don't feel like it smells bad. It smells a little like dirt, but
yeah.
It's coffee.
I don't know, it hit me weird.
The taste is a little odd. I don't know if it's the brown sugar or what, but there's something a little strange about it, but I don't think it's bad.
No, it just hit me weird.
It's kind of sweet. It's on the sweet side for sure. So, I finished 5 books this month.
I finished 2. I was talking to Sue. I'm still in like kind of a reading slump, and like part of it is that like I said, I'm in a new relationship, so we're spending time together, but like also work sucks right now. And so basically when I'm not with people, I'm sleeping. So
understandable.
Yeah, so I haven't been reading.
I'll go first then.
Roky doke.
The first book that I finished was actually an audiobook, and it was Crazy Rich Asians by Kwan. And this is about, I'm sure everyone knows.
Yeah, it's very popular right now.
But this follows a few different characters, who are all part of this very rich family in Singapore, and kind of how ridiculous the life of the rich can be, I suppose. Right. I thought it was good, but I should not have listened to the audiobook, not because it was bad, like the narrator was fine. I just have realized that because I'm not like an auditory learner, I'm not a good listener. If a book is really character driven, I can't give a fuck about those characters. Like, I just don't care. And so for most of the book, I was just kind of like, like, who cares? But then the end, when it turned really soap opera-y, I was like really into it. I was like, oh hell yeah. But I think that if I had read it physically, I probably would have enjoyed the whole thing. Right. Because it was just kind of like a fun romp. A fun romp through Singapore, I guess. Yeah, but I think I ended up giving it 3 stars. Okay. Next I read The Dream of My Return by Horacio Castellanos Moya, and it's translated from the Spanish by Catherine Silver. And this is kind of like a man's ramblings in some ways about, at the beginning he has this kind of mysterious ailment, his liver hurts, I think is what it was. And so he goes to this doctor, a new doctor, who basically tells him it's all in his head, and then it gets into, this whole time it's set in Mexico, he lives in Mexico, but he's from El Salvador. And I think it's probably semi-autobiographical because that's true for the author as well. Well, I don't know that he ever lived in Mexico, he might have, but he's from El Salvador. This whole time he's planning to return to El Salvador, and the reason he left was because there was a civil war happening there, which is still happening, but it's kind of wrapping up. Okay. So he's thinking that it's probably safe for him to go back, but he's really anxious about it anyway, and that's kind of all it is. Okay, it's like, kind of him being anxious about. It's kind of just a slice of life type of thing, I would say. Okay. But I did enjoy it. I found it it's kind of funny and interesting to hear his crazy ramblings a lot of the time. So I enjoyed it. It took me a while to get through it just because there's not much of a plot, so I wasn't super compelled to pick it up. But I liked it. I think I gave it 4 stars, or maybe 3.5.
Okay.
This did count for a Read Harder challenge because it is an Own Voices book set in Mexico or Central America.
Beautiful.
It also could count for the one that's like translated. One of the challenges is to read a book in translation written by or translated by a woman. So this could count for that too, but I counted it for the Central American one.
Nice.
Actually, the rest of the books that I read this month all counted for Read Harder challenge.
That's pretty fucking awesome. So the first book I finished was Possessing the Secret of Joy by Alice Walker. This is not a sequel to The Color Purple, but it does follow one of the like more minor characters in The Color Purple. It tells the story of Tashi, who married one of the children in The Color Purple. And it talks a lot about her experience with female genital mutilation and like being in therapy and healing from that.
Is she the one, she grew up in Africa, right? Yeah.
Yeah, she's the one that like got the tribal markings on her face and stuff. Yeah. This is like different chapters from different people's perspectives, but it's her experience coming to terms with what happened to her, going to therapy and working through it, and it's a really fascinating story. So I really loved this. I really like Alice Walker, and I want to read more books by her. I think I gave this 4 out of 5 stars.
The next book that I read was An Extraordinary Union by Alyssa Cole, and this is a historical romance set during the Civil War, and the main character, Elle, is a free woman, but she is working undercover as a slave to gain intelligence for the Union. So she's working in the Confederate household. Her love interest is a white man who is also working undercover. So he is pretending to be a Confederate soldier, but he's actually also gathering intelligence for the Union. But I really enjoyed this. It did have kind of, you know, cliche romance things, but I think that's kind of the nice thing about romances is that you know what to expect, kind of like they're comforting.
Yeah.
But it also had an interesting dynamic because obviously she's a black woman, he's a white man in the 1860s. Obviously she had a lot of issues trusting him, and he just inherently has a lot of power over her because he's white, you know, and even though he is very respectful and treats her as an equal and all of that, he still has a lot of power over her.
Yeah, absolutely.
So their relationship was really interesting to read about, so it added more interest than your typical romance novel, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, I really liked it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I think there's 2 more books in the series that follow different characters, but set, you know, like,
in the same like universe, time period, etc.
Yeah, so I'll probably pick up the next one and read it because I enjoyed it, and it counted for a Read Harder challenge of reading a historical romance by an author of color.
Nice. It sounds really interesting, actually, and I'm not a huge romance fan, but like that sounds like a good read to me.
Oh, and the other thing that bothered me about it is that for some reason it was mostly in the first half. There was so many places where either there was an extra word in a sentence that didn't belong there, or there was a word left out that should have been there. So that was annoying, but it wasn't that big of a deal. But I was like, get your shit together.
Get your shit together. Yeah, well,
should I go again?
Yeah, you may as well.
The next book I read was my TBR jar pick for February, which was The Queue by Basma, Abdel, Aziz. And this was translated from the Arabic by Elizabeth Jacquet. And this is set in an unnamed Middle Eastern town. To get anything done here, you have to get approval from the gate. So you have to stand in this big line waiting for the gate to open so you can get your shit approved to do any little thing, like do your job in some cases. And then our kind of main character, it follows several characters, but it's like kind of mainly telling the story of Yeya, I think, who was shot during an uprising, and the government is trying to cover it up. And so they make it to where you have to get approval from the gate to have a bullet removed from your body.
Right.
And so he's basically slowly dying throughout the novel because the gate never opens.
Yeah, they never address anything.
Yeah, the queue just grows longer and longer, and people wait and wait and wait, and the gate never opens, and they keep, like, you know, they'll make announcements saying, oh, the gate will be open tomorrow. So they give them hope, and then it doesn't happen. And I actually really liked it.
Did you?
Yeah. You read it last year?
Yeah, and I don't know, like, I don't know what I was hoping for or what I had expected.
Yeah.
But it was not what I had expected or wanted, I think. So, like, maybe that's what the issue was, is that it just didn't live up to...
Yeah, and I had low expectations because you didn't like it. So I was like,
yeah,
we'll see. And I enjoyed it. It doesn't have a lot of character development, but I feel like the characters were just kind of like archetypes to show how different people react to this type of, you know, totalitarian government that's getting more and more impressive as the book goes on. So I thought that was interesting to read. And then it's also a little amusing because I think it's kind of absurdist. Like, it's ridiculous to have to get approval to get a bullet removed from your body.
Right.
So it reminded me a little bit of, like, Heart of a Dog by Mikhail Bulgakov, which is, like, very absurdist.
Right.
And this one was kind of along that same vein, I think, but not.
Well, it's a little bit like hyperbolic almost, where it's like, this is how ridiculous the government is.
Right. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars.
Nice.
And it counted for the challenge of reading a book in translation written or translated by a woman, and this is both written and translated by a woman. And also the author sounds like a fucking badass.
She does. Like, she totally does.
It says that Basma Abdel Aziz is an Egyptian journalist, so I could count it for a book by a journalist,
You
too.
could.
And psychiatrist who treats torture victims at Cairo's Nadim Center, continuing her work even after the center was raided and closed by Egyptian authorities in February 2016. She has long been a vocal critic of government oppression in Egypt, has published several works of nonfiction, and earned the nickname The Rebel. So I'm like, she sounds like
a boss-ass bitch, man.
Badass.
She does.
And I would love to get a drink with her.
Yeah. I would love to just, like, tell me about your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the last book I read in February was Red Clocks by Leni Zumas. This is kind of a dystopian future novel where in America, abortion's illegal, in vitro fertilization is illegal, every embryo has the rights, like has personhood rights, has like the right to life, liberty, and
where
pursuit
our
of happiness.
country is going in this
does,
at this point.
And it's fucking terrifying. But this was like really bizarre and delightful. Like,
really?
It was different than I thought it was going to be, but it follows like 5 women who are all kind of in different places in their lives and with their view on having children. And so the laws all affect them, but they affect them differently. So like one of them is a single woman who wants to have a baby and can't, but once this like thing goes into, there's like a whole family law that's going into effect, and so she can't get in vitro fertilization because it's illegal, but she also can't like get inseminated at all or adopt because she's not married. So only 2-parent households can adopt.
Okay.
Or get like inseminated, because they do like the basic like turkey baster insemination thing, because they can't do in vitro. There's another like woman who is a mother. She has 2 children. She had no problems conceiving, but she's really unhappy and feels trapped and like frequently contemplates just killing herself and like driving a car off a cliff. Doesn't want to be where she's at. There's another woman who is a high school student and ends up pregnant. And then there's like another woman who is kind of like the town witch or whatever. She's like, they make a thing about her being a descendant of witches, but she lives in the woods and she's like an herbalist. And so she uses like legitimate, like natural remedies for things. And she helps women to like self-abort and with other...
some pennyroyal tea.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's really... and all of the stories are interwoven with each other. And so... It's really interesting how they're all connected, and all of the women are complex, you know, flawed characters, and I really loved it. Like, it was stranger than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
But I really liked it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars.
I have it. I own that book too, so it's on my TBR as well.
Yeah, it's I would recommend it. It's very good. It's really different. Like I would not go into it with any kind of preconceived notions because I did, and I was like, well, this is not what I expected at all. But I was pleasantly surprised.
All right, so the last thing that I finished was Monstress Volume 2, The Blood by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda. And this is a graphic novel, of course, a continuation.
And it's so pretty.
Of the story. It is. The artwork is fucking beautiful. Even if the story was awful, I might just still buy it just for the artwork. I liked this one a lot better than the first one. The first book was kind of, I feel like there was just too much going on. It was really hard to follow what the hell was happening. But this one, the story was a lot more simple. There it is. I love this.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
Chapter heading. But yeah, this one was a lot easier to follow, so I liked the story a lot better. The main character is not the most likable, but I think she's likable enough that you're still rooting for her.
Right.
Because she's kind of an asshole all the time. Okay. But like when push comes to shove, she usually does the right thing, you know? But she can be kind of cruel at times. Okay. And it has adorable talking cats and this little fox, half fox girl. They're so cute. And one thing I don't like about how it's written is that it was much worse than the first one. The first, there was like a big info dump at the end of every chapter. In this one, it only happened in a few times. But it's like,
oh goddamn,
annoying but also adorable because it's an excerpt of a lecture from the esteemed Professor Tam Tam, who is this cat.
It's a kitty.
Is this cat, and they're teaching these little kittens about like the history of this war that happened.
So where do I sign up for Professor Tam Tam's class?
I don't know. But one thing that's confusing to me is like, why is Professor Tam Tam teaching kittens if their professor should be teaching college? You know?
Yeah, they should be older kitties.
But they're adorable. And I kind of like that about the art as well in the story, is that it combines these like really kind of gruesome stuff with really adorable talking kitties and this really adorable little fox girl. And so it has that
contrast.
Yeah, contrast.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I liked it. I will continue on with that series. I gave it overall 4 out of 5 stars.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah. All right, shall we do our TBR jar picks?
Let's do it. Also, I did start my TBR jar pick. I just haven't finished it yet, so I have been reading it.
Uno.
Deux.
Dos.
Trois.
Tres.
Okay. So, we have The Remains of the Day by Katsuo Ishiguro. Ishiguro. I have The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin. And House of Sand and Fog by Dumas? Is it out? It's
Andre Dumas.
What is
something like
Dumas?
That. Like what? Alexander Dumas.
I don't know what I'm thinking of. Yeah. I'm going to go with The Remains of the Day. That's what I will pick.
I've read both of the other two.
Oh, yeah. I guess you have.
One I hated and one I loved.
Okay.
Pick me 3.
Try to do different colors.
Different colors again. My colors mean nothing. It's more indicative of the time that I bought them, because I do one whole sheet of paper.
Right, and then put it in there. Mine mean where they are in my house. Oh, I guess you should probably do it. I was excited.
I have The Death of Ivan Ilyich, which is by, is it Dostoevsky or the other Russian guy? I can't remember. Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro.
I loved that book.
And Sailor Song by Ken Kesey. I think I'm going to go with Never Let Me Go.
Yes!
Yeah.
I'm excited. I love that book.
So I have 2 dystopians in a row, because my last one was The Q. This is a dystopian, right? Never Let Me Go.
Yeah.
This is going to destroy me,
up. It fucked me up a little bit. Like, I finished it and I kind of sat there like, I'm going to need a minute.
Yeah, please. So I'll mentally prepare myself for that.
Brace yourself.
So we're both going Katsuo Ishiguro.
Yes!
Yes!
I'm really excited. Mostly for you to read that book because I liked it a lot.
All right, and this beer, I don't love it. It does have a weird flavor to it.
It hit me weird, and it's kind of kept, like, I thought maybe it was because I was drinking a really different beer before this.
Yeah.
But I don't think so.
It's not like the worst, but it
No,
just
it's not
has
bad.
It just
It's
has a
just
weird
funk.
Yeah.
It has a funk.
I can't even really explain it.
I don't care for it.
But I don't love it.
No, I don't love it.
I will not purchase it again.
May I say it unto you.
So, if you've read any of these books, then let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, and thank you for watching.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.